going to do a quick recap here just to sort of go over what we've already talked about in a brief way, and then we'll move into making our script actually use AOB scan so that we don't have to mess around with it every time we restart the game. So I have the nonsense table right here. We're going to close this. We're just going to name it what we have the script named, Loftweir, Loftwire. I wonder if Wikipedia has an entry for that individual. Probably just forward us. No, it does not. That's too bad. Anyone watching this, if you love Shadowrun, maybe, I don't know, make a page. Alright. So we have our table. We'll open it up. Our script is still here in the same state as it was when we left off in the last video. And we still have this sort of, the injection points are basically hard-coded to some extent. So we'll move into making that more dynamic now. So let's start up the game. There we go. New game, launch campaign. Yep. Alright. Attach it to the process, wherever the hell it is. Yep. Search for, do we want to search for the value? Yeah. It's going to be this first one. Alright. Find out what writes to this address. Yep. Debugger. There should be 3. There are, in fact, 3. Let's do 1 minus. Alright. Show dissembler. Make this a little bigger. Move this up here. And bring our script up. So, as we were talking about, AOB scan finds bytes, or finds a series of bytes, as we will give AOB, we will make an AOB scan in the script. We will give it some series of bytes, or an array of bytes. It will go out into the memory, it'll search all the instructions, and then it will find, or if it finds that array of bytes, it'll return the first result where it found that array of bytes. Now, this is somewhat, I purposely sort of glazed over it in the previous videos, but I want to talk about it now. There's some subtlety here, because what we started to do in the last video was we were extending, we had said this is the instruction that's modifying the value we are interested in, and that is true. It's absolutely true. Then we had gone over here, we had right click, copy, bytes only, came up here, did a new scan, changed it to AOB, and we did that. And we got a bunch of hits. We get less than we did before. But we knew that, the memory location of the actual address that we were interested in, or I'm sorry, the memory location of the actual instruction that we were interested in ends in 139, but we know that AOB scan returns the first address, or the first hit, if you will. So we need to somehow just basically make the AOB, or the array of bytes that we're scanning for, more unique, so that we only get one result over here. The way that we started to do that was we added the first byte of the subsequent instruction that we were interested in. So this is the instruction we are interested in. This is the array of bytes associated with that instruction. We go down 1, 8B. So let's do that. Put a new scan, first scan. Now we're down to 1 result. So the subtlety that I was starting to talk about is that I generally do not just leave it at 8B. I operate in discrete steps when I'm increasing my array of bytes. Instead of just, taking this array of bytes and pasting it into our script in an AOB scan, I always finish whatever the instruction is, or whatever the array of bytes associated with that instruction. It's kind of a stylistic preference. I'm not sure it has any real impact, but it does serve to make it slightly more unique. So what's the sort of a practical example of what I'm saying? We added 8B. I will go ahead and I will add 4670. We'll go new scan, first scan. Okay, so we still have 1 result. Everything is as it should be. And again, I will never sort of just add just 1 byte. some technical reasons as to why I do that, but mostly I feel more comfortable if I'm operating in a discrete unit of instructions. I don't want to just have an opcode or half an instruction or whatever tacked onto my AOB. I always like to just basically I'm not going to comment in any way in the script and say oh well, this is 2 instructions, this is 3 instructions, but as the creator of a script, I like to know that whatever I'm scanning for as far as an AOB is, that I just implicitly know that it is n amount of instructions. And I say n as in the unknown mathematical value or unknown value, some value of instructions, obviously being greater than 1. So, is there any more conceptual stuff that I want to go over? There is, but we're going to just dive right in. Let's make the script use AOB scan. If we try to activate the script right now, let's just do that. Let's see if we could, it might screw the game up. I don't know. Okay, is it actually activating? That's pretty ridiculous. It's activating and deactivating. 1932 EC39. Let's demonstrate sort of as an A side here a feature of the memory viewer and whatnot. So we have an injection point that this code is going to, and we already know, for example, that that right here, that this is the instruction that's modifying the available karma, because we did find out what writes to this address, as you can see down here. So when we enable the script, what's going on? Well, because there's no logic or any AOB scan or anything like that, Cheat Engine is just saying, all right, well, you're telling me that you want to go to this address and you want to smash whatever is there, and you want to jump to this, and then you want to NOP, and then you want to do whatever code and logic you have up here. So let's go to the memory viewer. Again, we're nowhere near 1932 EC39. So what you can do is, you don't have to be on any specific instruction, but if you just right click and you go to address, Cheat Engine says where do you want to go. We will paste that value from the script in. We'll hit OK, and there you are. We are somewhere in memory doing something. Where are we in memory? What code is, what instructions are surrounding this? No idea. No idea at all. It's possible that this is some part of memory that has some state about the game that as soon as we try and add or remove a point, we're going to crash the game. So this sort of demonstrates in a very visual, solid way that when you are injecting at different memory locations, you have to be somewhat sure about where you are injecting at, because Cheat Engine has no logic or sanity tests at all. It just says, you want to inject code here, fine, I'll go there, I inject code, done deal, forget about it. So again, be very wary. And you can see that when we activate the script, the code over here will let's disable that real quick and shrink, or we'll bring this over. Watch over here on the left, we are in fact at the memory location indicated in the script. So let's enable it. You can see that it's overwriting it. So I mean, the Cheat Engine is obviously executing the script is being executed, but where are we in memory? What are we even dealing with? We don't know. So let's deactivate it. It goes back to normal. Reactivate it, deactivate it. So again, be sure about where you're jumping in memory. Now, if we want to go back to, how do we go back to the address in the memory viewer? You right click anywhere, and then for sort of continuity, we'll right click on this instruction. You just go to back. Cheat Engine says, all right, let's go back to the address. Now, sort of hammer the point here. Let's enable the script. So it's enabled. There is no change at all over here in this memory region, because we're changing values in the script over at 1932 EC39. Disable it. There's still obviously no change. So again, this demonstrates why we want to use AOB scan, so that we can find this actual so in a succinct way, we want to find the instruction that modifies this value wherever the hell it is in memory every time. First time, every time. Much like, well, never mind. But so, enough talk about that. Let's start doing it. Let me think about this real quick. Do we need that open? We're going to leave it all open. All right. So we're going to modify the script to use AOB scan. So how do we do that? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new little comment header for AOB scan. I like to sort of capitalize it. Some people do not, but I don't know. Seems right to me. It's before we start typing it and getting down to business here. Let's talk a little bit about where we are putting the AOB scan in the script. You are putting it in the enable section, not outside the enable section, certainly not in the disable section. So why are we putting it here? We're putting it here because the larger general assumption that we are making is when you enable the script that the game's memory has not been tampered with or the instructions have not been overridden. There's no code injection going on outside. So when you enable the script, basically there's again that the memory is pure, it's untainted, if you will, and so that it can go out and it can find the byte patterns that we are interested in, such as this one, without having to worry or concern ourselves with the fact that the memory's already been stomped on. If we put this outside the enable script, then the AOB scan, or outside the enable section, then the AOB scan would run every time we tried to do anything to the script. And you would wind up in a scenario where the script might enable, but then when you go to disable it, its cheat engine is going to be unable to disable the script because you're looking for the same array of bytes. But as we've shown, when we enable the script and we code inject and we jump to our area of memory or what have you, then this array of bytes changes. So the AOB scan will work when you first fire the script to enable it, but then when you try to disable it, the AOB scan is going to try and run, it's going to return no results, and the script's going to dump or exit. So the AOB scan goes under enable. That's not just a stylistic preference, as we just talked about. It is sort of a chicken and egg scenario, and so AOB goes within the enable section. So you do an AOB scan by just AOB scan, open close parenthesis, give me some parameters. There are 2 parameters for an AOB scan. Maybe there's more, but we're going to talk about just 2. The first parameter for the AOB scan is is a label or a name that you want to refer to the result of the AOB scan as. So as we talked about, the AOB scan is going to go out, it's going to search for an array of bytes, it's going to find, presumably it's going to find some hit, some result, some ping, and it's going to return basically a pointer or an address to that result, and we need to be able to refer to that in some sort of dynamic way, just like with a variable or a value, or a variable specifically. But so what are we going to call it? We're going to call it AOB increase karma, comma. You could call it anything, frankly. I'm just sticking with this naming convention because we've already named increase karma process, increase karma return, increase karma. We're just following that sort of path. What is the second parameter to this function? It is the array of bytes you want to search for. So let's go to new scan, first scan. We're getting one result. It is in fact the address 13E23F139. There you go. So we want that. I'll hit Control X so it disappears, a little more visual. Then we're just going to paste it right there. So AOB scan is going to say, okay, you're giving me an array of bytes as indicated right here. I am going to go out into the memory associated with this process, and I am going to go find this array of bytes. And if I get nothing, then the script's just going to exit. You're not going to have alloc, you're not going to have label, you're not going to do entry increase, you're not going to do you're not going to inject, you're going to do nothing. It is worth noting that if AOB fails, it is a hard exit from your script. Nothing after it will ever be assembled, executed, or loaded into memory. It is the end of the road if AOB scan fails. That's not an accident. There are some reasons why, but for our purposes, we are just basically going to say when AOB scan fails, or if it fails, in the event that it fails, your script is never going to enable, period. So we'll pick up the development of this in the next video. When actually, for the first minute or two of the next video, we're going to maybe change some of the names and whatnot, because I had watched the previous videos and I was kind of thinking to myself, is it increase karma? Are you really increasing karma? No, you're not. So we'll do some minor editing first.